Hey guys, welcome in. And we're just gonna take a quick second while we wait for everyone to join. And if you are joining, you should have a poll up on your screen. Go ahead and take a second, answer those couple questions that you see there while we're waiting for everyone to come on in and join us. So while we're waiting, I'm going to talk a little bit about today's ModiOU. This one we are super excited about. We have our new reports module. So that is what we will be taking a look at today. You may have already seen it. There's that banner that's been going across the screen for a couple of days now, let you guys know that something new was coming. So that is what we are going to be covering today. Danessa is going to be our presenter. And we will start by just introducing the feature, the basic layout, how to run and save those reports, managing your folders, personal collection. Then we're going to move on to our intermediate features, conditional formatting, merging reports, combining columns, archiving and deleting reports. And then at the end, we have a super fun and engaging game to play with everyone at the end. So if you stick around to the end, you'll get to do that as well. All right.
Thanks so much, Sierra, for the great introduction. We can go ahead and get started. And again, welcome everybody. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Perfect. So, just as Sierra said today, we are going to be talking about our new reports module, which you'll be able to find in your team dashboard. So, in that blue bar here, it's right beside that notes tab. So, that's what we're going to take a look at today. I know we are usually used to the current reports dropdown that's right here in the middle. It's right beside that V2 tab or button there. That drop down will be sunsetting soon, sometime in like the summertime. You can still access it now as needed, but I think after we go over the reports module, you might just want to start using that one instead. So this new reporting feature is just intended to improve how you export data as needed. The new tool is also intended just to unlock some new abilities for you, our clients, just in terms of ease of use, curation, and like self-serviceability. Um, so by integrating with Metabase, we've just created just a more empowered reporting system and tool. So it's really, really great. So I'm gonna show you guys why it's so great. That's what we're gonna talk about today. So we're gonna go ahead and click on that reports tab or module. And it is going to take us to this new page. One thing I do just want to point out, just go ahead and keep that first tab open to go back to the platform. At this time, there's not a way to kind of navigate back to the platform from this new page, so just go ahead and keep that tab open. Also, couple other things here that I want to go over. So we can see your team name is right here in the middle, so it'll show that team name. If you do have access to multiple teams, so if you have child teams, you would want to go back to the platform, select that child team from your dropdown, and then run that reports tab here. Also, there are some tip guides and videos that you can view at a later time. So definitely feel free to share these with your team members, look at them yourself. If you ever need a little refresh, these are always here. So definitely take advantage of those here. Let's get into just like this side left bar here. So we have all these different collections or these different folders here. So first is your personal collection. So any reports that you create and save will be accessible in your personal collection folder. We'll be covering how you can save reports in a little bit. Next, we have our standard reports, which you can see I've already clicked on here. So these are those standard reports that you have access to. So you can see, if you're used to running those standard reports in the dropdown, these should look pretty familiar. There's like your providers report, your licensure report. Next, we have the standards report inactive. So this one is really cool. This is actually those standard reports for your inactive providers that you might have on your team. So if you ever need to, I don't know, run those reports for those inactive providers, you can do that here. And then finally, we have the tracking reports folder. So normally what you would see, like when you go to that tracking tab, and then there's like that reports drop down by that add tracking button. These are those reports here. I also do want to point out that if you do have existing custom reports, you will probably get like an email from your client success manager once they are available here. But let's go over how we can run one of these reports. So let's go back to our standard reports folder. And I actually want to run the licensure report. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that report. Running query just means it's loading that report here. Sometimes it can take a few seconds or two. So you can multitask, do some other things while you're waiting for that to load. Of course, the more data you have, it might take a little bit longer for it to load. But here's our report. Again, you have all those different columns here at the top, your first name, your last name. You can kind of scroll through, look at those different columns, look at all the data for all of your providers here. But let's kind of go through the process of adjusting this report. So the first thing I want to show you is this summarize option here. It's in the kind of like the upper right where it says summarize. And the summarize function lets you sort and capture your data for specific parameters. So let's click summarize. And it pretty much allows you to count items within the report query. So if I wanted to know maybe like all the providers who have like a specific state license. So let's just do license state. It's running that report here. So we can see it breaks it down for me. So it gives me my license state and it also gives me that count. So, okay, I know that we can see here there are 3 New Jersey state license or 4 New York state license, so forth and so on. So very kind of simple here if you would just like to see it that way. You can also add additional groupings here if you feel it's necessary. While we're here, I do want to point out there is this visualization feature here, the bottom left-hand corner where it says visualization. So while tables are useful for looking up information or finding specific numbers, it's usually easier to see trends and make sense of data using charts. So let's click visualization. And we actually have all these different options here. We can do like a bar chart. We can also, what I really like, if we're looking at like state, it's like that map. So that one's really cool too. So again, there's a bunch of different options for you to see that data. So maybe you have someone's on your teams that's really tech savvy or really into that role of managing data. This might be something that's really beneficial for them. Also, within like whatever selection you do as far as that visualization, if you want to do a map, a bar, there's like this little gear icon. And what's really cool as well is you can kind of like change the color. So if you're like, no, I want it to be purple or I want it to be yellow, you can make those changes here. So that is that visualization feature. So that's really cool. But let's go back because I do want to show you some other options that we have as far as kind of making some adjustments to that report here. So I'm just going to hit done. I'm going to hit my summarize button here. And we're just going to clear out of the state and that count. And it's just going to rerun that report for us here. And again, sometimes it can take a second or two. So like I said, while it's running, just go ahead and multitask or do something else while it's running. So here's that grid option that we were looking at earlier. I know we kind of looked at the gear icon under the visualization piece, but let's go ahead and click the gear icon from here. And it looks like it's still, let me refresh this. taking its time. And this is something that our team is also working on. So if you're just noticing it's running a little bit longer, that's something that we're aware of. Um, and then you do also have the option to be notified when your report is done loading if you just have to, jump back to something else. So I'm just switching back to the grid option here at the bottom so you can kind of navigate between the two. So back to the map. But like I said, I want to click the gear. Let me see. Let's do that again. And also there is this filter option here, which we're gonna get into in just a second. I think, let me go back to show editor. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out why it's not pulling up. Let me hit done. Leah, can you jump in for just 2 seconds for me? So I'm just trying to show the gear and I think it's still connected to the map here.
So go at the very top where it says licensure, started from licensure, up one more.
Oh, yep.
Click there, and I think that is going to refresh it.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I
Mhm.
was like, what is happening? Okay, perfect. Okay, back to the gear icon. So if you're having that issue, just like Leah showed us at the top, go ahead and just click to where it says start it from licensure. So again, there is the gear icon. So what's really cool is you can actually drag and drop columns here. So maybe, let's say, I don't know, maybe the license tape that's super important to me for this report, I can click on that option here and then drag it, more towards the top here. So it will show more over towards the left. Maybe like I really don't look at the middle name. Maybe I kind of want that column out of the way. There's like this little eye icon here, so you can click on that and it will hide that column for you. So you can make those adjustments to your columns within your report. You can also drag and drop columns from here as well. So if you don't want to click on the gear, you can do it right from here and move them around there. Also, there is this conditional formatting option. So you have the option to add a rule here. So let's just click add rule. And maybe let's do provider title. So let's do that provider title column. And then we want to enter in our column value. So you have the option to choose between the different, so contains, does not contain, but we're going to keep it as is equal to. So make sure you enter in that correct column value. So we're going to do MD. You have the option to change the background color that it's highlighted. So maybe if I want to make it like a more teal color, and then I can go ahead and either highlight that whole row if I'd like to, or maybe I just want to highlight those specific boxes there. And then I can go ahead and add my rule. You can also add additional rules as well. So another way that you can be a little bit more organized with your data and seeing that data here. So I did tell you that there's also this filter option here in the upper right. It's right next to where it says summarize there. So let's look at that. So let's click filter. And the filters link to the dashboard just to limit those results based on the value of another filter. So whatever filters, kind of apply to your team, this is where you can kind of come in here and customize those. So maybe, let's say I wanted to do the license type is, and it's loading for us, it's taking its time. Or maybe I wanted to do the last name is or is not. So again, very similar to what we were just looking at for that rule. So you can hit ends with, does not contain. Again, you can be very specific there. So like I said, I wanted to do the license type. So we can do is license type. Maybe you can start typing in that license type, whatever that license may be. Here you can type that in, or maybe I want to do, I know we were looking at the state, so let's kind of do the state. That's kind of what I want to look at. So let's just do New Jersey. And again, you can add as many filters as you want. Also, what's really nice about this is, let's say you're really huge on like those compliances for your providers. So if you want to make sure you're just kind of staying up to date, or you want to see it in a report when things are going to expire, you can also manipulate the filters that way as well, which is really cool. So let's just go ahead and apply our filters. We're just running that here. And like I said, it might take a second or two. Needs like some theme music or something. So there is our report. So remember, we just filtered to the state license, or excuse me, that state, which is New Jersey. So it applies that filter, and you can also see the filter that I use will appear here. So really cool, especially if you're like making a bunch of filters, it'll show what filters you're applying, so you can kind of keep track of what you're doing. You also have your drop-down filters here for each of the columns. So you'll have a list of like the possible values in a column. So you can, again, you can filter that column by, again, is not, contains here. You can add that filter there. You can also, again, you have those up and down arrows, and you can also hide the columns right from here as well, just by clicking on that little eye with the line through it there. So really, really cool. So once you've made all your changes to your report there, you can start the process of like, downloading that report. So at the very bottom right-hand corner, there is this cloud with the down arrow here. So if we click there, these are the options, the different formats that you can download the report here. So either CSV, an Excel, or a JSON. You can download it, save it, then email it to whoever you need it to, which is really cool. And let's go over how you can save this report. So in the upper right, again, where my cursor is, it says save. So we're going to go ahead and click there. There's that name of my report. What I always recommend in the description, just go ahead and, just type a small description about what this report is. So I'm just going to type in the filter that I use, just so I know, okay, this is just my New Jersey state license. So let's just do New Jersey state. And then if you want to change the name of the, report, you can. So if I want to do, let's put New Jersey state here as well. Okay, and it's asking you, where should this collection go? Remember that personal collection folder we looked at before clicking on this report? That's where we're going to have that report saved to. So we'll just hit save. And we won't worry about adding that to a dashboard right now. So now it has updated that name of the report to the name we had entered when we first clicked save in that field. And if we want to go back to our personal collection and see all those different folders, you are just going to click the Modio icon here in the upper left-hand corner. Okay. And if you're like, oh, where are my folders? Just click the little 3 lines that are right next to that Modio icon. And there are your folders. And if we go to our personal collection folder, here is that New Jersey state license folder, or excuse me, state license report that we just added here. So really, really nice. Also too, I do just want to point out, once we save the report, this is a variation of the existing report. So it doesn't replace like that standard report that we were just looking at. So whatever changes you make will just apply to that save report that you did. It's not going to change like the actual standard state license or licensure report. But let's say maybe I want to make some changes to this, report that I just created, or, made those customizations to. Maybe I forgot to add a filter or something like that. So let's click on that report again. And maybe let's just say, like, I don't maybe I don't really want like the work email column. Let's just say that was the huge change that I needed to make. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my shortcut here. So again, I'm going to use that drop down for that column, and I'm just going to hide that column. And then maybe I do want to apply another filter. Let's see. Maybe I just want let's see, I'm trying to think what I would want it to be. Or maybe I want to go ahead and just hide the renewal date. We're going to go ahead and hit save. Now it is going to ask you, do you want this to replace the original question or original report? Or do you want to say this as a new customized report that you just made? So you have the option to choose between the two. I just want it to replace it. I don't want to make a totally separate new one. So I'm just going to hit save. And now it has saved that for me here. Okay, and if we go back again by clicking that Modio icon and clicking our, little sidebar there, and if we go back to our personal collection, it is here as well. So it doesn't remove it or, delete it or anything like that. So I'm sure you've noticed in my personal collection, I do have multiple folders here. So you do have the option to kind of create multiple folders within your own personal collection. So if you want to be a little bit more organized, you do have that option to create multiple personal collections. So how you can do that is if you go to the upper right-hand corner where it says new, it's in blue here, you are going to go ahead and click on collection. It's going to ask you what you want that collection to be called. We can just say maybe let's just do New Jersey. Again, you can add in a description, and we want that collection to be saved to my personal collection. So we'll hit create here. So there is that folder. And let's say I want to move that saved report, that saved state licensure report that we made just for New Jersey. I want to move it to this folder here. So we're going to go back to my personal collection there. We're going to select that report just by checking that empty box. We're going to go over to where the three dots are. And you also will see it once you select that report, you'll see it as an option here at the bottom. So where it says move or move to trash. And then you can also pin that report, bookmark it, and you can also move it or move to trash from here. So we'll just hit move. It's going to ask you what you want to move it to. So this is my recent, so I want to move it to my New Jersey folder. We'll hit move. And if we now go to my New Jersey folder, it's right here. So a really cool way just to stay organized. I also want to show you how you can kind of archive these reports. So let's just say this one's outdated. I don't really need it. Maybe I made a mistake, maybe I just don't really need it anymore. Again, I'm going to select that report. I can move it to trash from here at the bottom, or again, I can go to my three dots and then hit move to trash right from there. Now, let's say that was an accident. I really didn't mean to do, I didn't mean to move it to my trash. We can go to trash. There is that New Jersey state license one. We can select that, and you have the option to restore it, to move it, and to delete it permanently. So let's just say I don't need this anymore. I'm done with it. You have the option to delete it permanently. It's going to ask you if you're sure because it can't be undone. If so, you can hit delete permanently there. So really, really cool. A lot of great features here. There is one more thing I wanted to show you, and actually it's one of my favorites within the new reports module that we have that you can do. You can actually merge reports. So I think that it's super cool, especially let's say there's a data point from the licensure report that you need, but you want to have it in the provider's report or something like that. You have that option to merge those reports. So let's go over how we can do that. So again, we're going to go back to where it says new. So remember when we added that new collection, we're going to hit new. And instead of hitting collection, we are going to hit question. So it's the first option. So it's saying pick your starting data. So we're going to pick our first report. So these are my recent. So these are the recent reports that I've ran. So we can just select providers. So we are going to see this little, it says join data and it's in blue. So these two circles that are joining together. If you don't know, just hover over the icon, it'll tell you what it is. So we're going to hit join data. So let's go to where it says tables. So these are all my standard reports. They're also going to be here. So let's maybe do what we can do. Let's do providers and we'll just stick with licensure. Let's just stick with that one. So it's now telling you to pick a column. So you need to pick a column that both of these reports have in common. One thing that I just feel like, I would recommend what column to pick. I would just go ahead and you'd click on that provider ID column. Almost all of the reports have that provider ID column. So if you don't want to have to think about it, just go ahead and hit provider ID as that common column. So you can just leave it at that, but we can take it up like a step further. Right beside where we looked at where it says join data, there's this other icon here towards the right. It looks like, little squares with a plus sign. You can actually create a custom column. So let's click there. And from here, you can combine columns. I think that's really cool. So let's say I want to combine some columns. Maybe the first column, maybe I want to do first name and last name, right? Maybe I just don't want those to be two separate columns. Let's just do the first name and then my second column be my last name. Where it says separated by space, you can also say like, no, I want it to be separated maybe by a comma. So you can put that separator in and it will show you an example here at the bottom. And you also have the option to add another column, but we'll just keep it at the two. So we're just gonna hit done and it will show you how it will appear here, that expression. So we'll just hit done. You can preview that report just by clicking the little play button here, and you can preview that report. Or we're just going to go ahead and hit visualize. So it's going to run that report for me. Just pretend there's music playing, elevator music playing while it's running the report. I hope you guys are loving this reports tab as much as I do. I think it's a really, really great tool. Perfect. Here's our report. Looks pretty good. We can scroll over. Let's keep scrolling. Let's go find our custom column that we made. That provider's report is kind of a long one. So sorry if I'm scrolling a little fast. So there is that combined first name and last name column, really cool. And now once we move over, we see where it says licensure, provider ID. So these are those columns that are pulling from that licensure report. But as you noticed, we did that combined column and it's also showing like it's kind of showing the first name, the last name here. But remember, you can always hide those columns. So if you don't want to see doubles, which I'm sure you probably don't, again, you can go to the drop down for that column and hide it from here, or you can go right back to that gear icon and hide it from there. You can again, drag and drop those columns there, pull that custom combined column that we did maybe further on more towards the left so you don't have to scroll over like I did, like it's right here. So really, really cool feature here. And then of course, again, if you wanted to save this, remember to go ahead and hit save. You can name that report, whatever you'd like it to be, and then save it to your personal collection. So that is the end of my spiel. Sierra, I think it's time we kind of move on to the next fun piece of our call today. So I will hand it back to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Danessa. So yeah, we love the reports feature. And hopefully you guys love it as well. And you spent some time utilizing that feature after this call, and maybe you've already been using it. We wanted to take a couple of things that we've learned today and pull them into a fun little interactive game for you guys. So we are going to play a little game on Menti. So I'm going to pull up our slide deck one more time. There is a QR code for you guys to scan. You may need, if you don't have like a dual screen, there will be a link, but you can also use your cell phone. Hold it up with the camera. If you've never done it before, just take your camera out, hold it up, and when you, well, if you're using an iPhone, I'm not sure about an Android user, but when you scan that QR code, however you scan a QR code on your phone, it should pop right up with that game. Put your name in, and then we're going to get started. Um, Also, if you were asking questions in the QA while we were going along, don't worry, we are still going to take a moment to answer questions. We're going to do that after we play our little game. If you still have questions, you still have time to enter those questions into the QA chat there, and we will answer those following the game. All right, so let's get started with that. I'm going to share my screen again. And there's going to be two little transitions here. First, the QR code, and then we will move over to the site. So I am going to go here. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And just let me know, Danessa, if you guys can see that code.
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. So go ahead and scan that code. It should only take a second. I'm actually going to do it as well. And we will all play together. And let me go ahead and switch over. I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen to the game. And once I open it up there, again, it's going to display that QR code. So if you haven't scanned it yet, don't worry. You'll get another second to do that. And let us know again in the chat if you have any questions, if it's not working. It should be working. I have it pulled up on my phone. It looks like it's going just fine. All right, so I'm going to go ahead to the next slide here. And I'm just going to give everyone another moment or two to scan that code, because once I go to the next screen, that is going to take that code away. So I'm going to give you about another 10 to 15 seconds to scan that code. And you guys feel free to like pop off mute and let me know if any questions come up about the game and I need to stop. All right. Also, if you are just maybe you don't have your cell phone or you can't scan that code, at the top, it lets you know. If you just go to menti.com, here is a code where you can access that game, 71367442. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go ahead to our, all right. It looks like we have quite a few players. We're gonna jump right in. Oh, we still have a few people joining. I'll wait another second or so. All right, perfect. Oh, you guys are just popping right in. I love to see it. And hopefully, if you guys really like this, we can do this some more on some of our other Modio U's. This is just something new that we wanted to try. And what a better day to try it than with our new feature here, the reports module. So, all right. We're going to go ahead and hit enter. And you have your question coming up here in just a few seconds. You will have 15 seconds to answer the question. The first question, who has access to your personal collection? 4 more seconds. Perfect. So the answer to that one is just you. So if you're creating those personal collections, when you're saving those, as Danessa showed, in your personal collection folder, when you open that reports tab and you go into your folder, that would only be something that you can see because it is your personal collection. So yes. Very good. Let's move on to the next one. Again, it should pop up on your screen. True or false? You can merge standard reports. True or false? 10 more seconds to get your answers in. True or false? You can merge standard reports. Perfect. That is true. And that is going to be a really big, like, another big highlight to take from today, being able to merge those reports together, is a really, really cool feature of being able to use that new reports module. So yes, you can merge those standard reports. Let's go on to the next one. When merging two standard reports, what recommended columns should you match? And this one already came up with a little check or X's, so you guys get a freebie here. Perfect. So, oh, got a few more answers coming in. We'll wait about 5 more seconds. So, as Vanessa mentioned, we do recommend, or it's really easy to go in and pull that provider ID there. And that's a really good recommended column, as we showed when we went through the demo today. And if you guys are, wanting to know more about this, maybe you missed that or you want to see it again, we're also going to talk about, once I pull this down, where you can find some really cool videos and tip guides to utilize as you're acclimating yourself with the new reports module. And let's go on. One more here. We have everybody just getting ready for that next question. All right, I think we have. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. True or false? If I run and make changes to a standard report, it will change standard reports for my entire team. True or false? If you make changes to your standard report, is that going to affect the standard reports for your team? Nobody got that one wrong. Everybody went for false, and that is the correct answer. False. So if you're going in and you're making changes to those reports, you're using filters, you're moving columns around, that is not going to affect any other reports that are standard that someone else on your team may be running. Perfect. That was our last question. Hopefully you guys really like that. Feel free to let us know in the chat if you thought that was cool. We'll do more of those. I want to end this before we go in and answer some questions with showing you guys where to find those materials if you're wanting to view videos and tip guides. There's a couple of places. I'm going to hit end here. And I'm gonna pull up our support page. So like normal, you have your support page on this very top toolbar there. And if you scroll down, we have some resources here. OneView Reports Module, and it does have a big new word there. This is where you can find some training materials to help you acclimate yourself with the reports module as you begin using it. We have a tip guide, we have an FAQ sheet, overview, and then there are two videos. These videos are everything that we covered today, but they are split into two. So the basic navigation and then the intermediate navigation, which both of those we covered today. So feel free to watch these videos. They are great. Those were made by Leah, and she did a really great job going in to explain how everything works. It's going to be the exact same thing that you got today. And then, of course, again, if you are within that reports tab, we have our tip guides and videos tab. If you just hit right next to where you see quick links, you can find more support here. All right, guys, what do we have as far as questions? I'm gonna stop sharing.
I think the first one that I wanted to read out loud was around exporting reports. Can you show really quickly how to export those?
Yes, I don't know why I stopped sharing. Oh, go ahead, Janessa. Thank you.
Sorry. Yes. So I'm still in that report that we were using earlier, but at the bottom, oops, bottom right hand corner, it's kind of a little bit tiny, but it's this cloud with the down arrow. So you can download it as a CSV, an Excel, or a JSON. So once you select your option here, you'll just go ahead and hit download. Any other questions?
I'm scanning through. There's a few of them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, here's a good one for the group. It says, can you build a report that pulls social security numbers or driver's licenses? So those encrypted fields. And current state, request a custom report and our team can help build that. They're not available for everyone because that is sensitive data, but upon request, we can set that up for you. Just reach out to support@modiahealth.com.
Thanks, Leah. Any other questions?
There were a bunch of them. I'm sorting through really quick.
Oh, you're fine.
Oh, there was a question that was pretty good. So I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit. If you run a standard report, make some edits and changes, and then you save it to your personal collection, the next time that you log in and run that report, is the data refreshed with new data in the platform, or is it that old data of when you originally created the report?
So the data from the reports are pulling from the data that's within the platform. So if the data is not in the platform, it's not going to show on the report and vice versa. Um, I don't know if Leah, you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So if you create a report and save it in your personal collection, and then you run it in 2 weeks, any updated data that was added to your provider profiles or to the platform in general is going to pre-populate onto that report. You don't have to build it again every time. And then there's a, oh, sorry, Brandon.
I was going to say, we had quite a few questions about clients that have those legacy customer reports in the dropdown back in OneView. And are they going to be transferred over to this new module? So we want to address that here.
Yeah, again, that's a great question. So your CSM will be reaching out to you if you do have those custom reports. They will be reaching out to you probably via email once they are available here, and to give you a little bit more information on those who do have custom reports. So they won't disappear, they won't be removed, I promise.
I have one that I thought was a good one. So there appear to be duplicate rows on the combined report. How do I delete those?
Oh
So
yeah, that's a great question. So if we just, because I'll just go back to a normal report because it's very it's kind of universal. Remember that gear icon I was talking about and also the drop down for the columns. So you have the option to hide that column by clicking on the little eye icon from here, or within the gear icon, you can hide those duplicate columns so they're not coming up twice on the report.
And also, just to add on to that too, Danessa, like it depends on what report you're running. So, like if you run the facilities report, there might be one provider that has 10 different facilities they work at, so they might be listed 10 different times on the report. So it may appear to be duplicates, but they're not. They're just listed multiple times because there's multiple facilities. So that's another thing to keep in mind as well.
Good point, Brandon. I see someone raised their hand. If you have any questions, go ahead and feel free to put those in the chat.
All
Do we have
right.
it? So is that it?
I think that's it for the questions. So just everyone get in there, log in, play around with it, get familiar with the new feature. And if you do come up with additional questions, send them over to support@modihealth.com or to that chat button at the bottom of the platform, and our support team will help you out. It's a really fun tool. I think a lot of people will find it super useful. You can't break it. So just feel free to do whatever you want in there and reach out if you need any additional support.
Absolutely. And also too, if you want to see and hear our voices again, if you want to see that information, or maybe you have any team members that may have missed it today, we are also going to have another Reports Module U tomorrow and also on the 19th. So definitely feel free to join those again as well. All right. Thank you guys so much for your time. You guys have a great day.